It's been about 17 years that I've been on YouTube or on Instagram, back to YouTube, whatever. In those 17 years, obviously, I've aged. We all have. It's going to happen. And my opinion on products has changed as my skin has changed. Some products have grown with me, some have been jettisoned because they just don't work anymore. I have always loved dewy foundations, and I still do, but obviously now I wear more powder because where my skin isn't as smooth as it once was, when it's very shiny or dewy, it reflects the light in areas that I don't want reflected, frankly. So why don't we revisit powder foundations? This is a product that I've always hated on my particular skin. Let's have a little look and see if powder foundations can work better on my skin as I age. We are going to start by super hydrating my skin, and I am going to use this First Aid Beauty. This is Ultra Repair Rescue Barrier Balm. I've taken note from the people that said that they wanted to see the products up close. I'm going to put plenty of this on because I lack in moisture and I'm not going to get much from this foundation. We're going to pop loads of pretty heavy duty moisturiser on now. My skin isn't just dry on my face, it's dry on my entire body. These guys do a whole range. So if I find that I'm getting itchy or whatever, there's one for the body as well. Next we need an SPF. Now I am choosing to use Ultraviolet SPF 50 Queen Screen Super Glow Illuminating Drops. So I'm going to put something very glowy on over the top of this moisturiser before we put the matte foundation on top. Plenty of SPF. Remember, you really should be using a lot to get the sun protection. And you should see, I'll be very shiny after this. Now, using a powder foundation does mean that we're going to get added longevity. If you've noticed that your foundation is now sliding around, perhaps you'll want to do this. Next step is concealer. This one is Chantecaille Real Skin. I've picked it more for the colour than anything because it's pretty good against my skin right now. It's very close to my skin, so I'm going to put this on, but pretty lightly. Mostly you're just going to put it wherever you've got blemishes. Next up is your powder foundation. I've picked Bare Minerals. Fair 10 Neutral is the shade that I'm using. I'm also using an e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray. And take a soft brush, like a blush brush will do the job for this. Now, if you want it matte, you pick a matte setting spray. If you want it dewy, pick one that's dewy. And let that sit for a second. Then you can start picking up your powder foundation. The absolutely brilliant thing about this is that you decide the coverage. You're building it up, so if you just want a little bit, you only put a little bit on. Once you've done that, if you're used to dewy foundation, you might feel like you look a little bit flat. So what you can do is you can either use your dewy setting spray. I'm actually going to use a spray moisturiser here. I'm going to spritz this all over and then just let it sit. And I'm just going to wait for that to set. That's nearly done. Okay, next I'm just going to take a little bit of cream bronzer and just put colour back in. Sometimes you can find with those powder foundations they can wash you out a bit. And I'm choosing to use a cream over the top of that powder to add that extra bit of glow. You can do the bronzer while the skin's still a bit damp, doesn't matter. And now a bit of blusher. This is Lusitano from Merit. I'm going to use the same brush that I used with the bronzer. And I'm just finishing all this with a bit of Iconic Nude pencil from Charlotte Tilbury. Just put my mole back in with a bit of brow pencil. Tidy my brows up while I'm there. This is Trish McAvoy. And my favourite of the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks is Super Cindy. And then we just blot that. And that's it, comfortable powder foundation for people with dry skin. One word of warning with powder foundation, and that is that if you do find that you get shiny, don't touch it up with your powder foundation. The more you put on, the more you get a build-up. So unless you want more coverage, switch to a loose powder. And that is my comfortable powder foundation hack. Bye.